And welcome to Flightdeck Live. I am Jake Tapper along with Cliffy D. And welcome to First Molson Stadium as the Alouettes break their long winning streak over 300 days as of today. The last time the Alouettes lost. Alouettes lose to the Toronto Argonauts 37-18. I don't know where to start. It's like the things clip that happened last week pre-game also happened again this week. You lose some more players, and it was just really a game tonight where nothing, in my opinion, could go right for the Alouettes.
It really couldn't, and it's funny because they stayed competitive by and large for the first three quarters. It's just, injury, and a lot of talented players go down to injury and leave the game, and it really felt like, I mean, this was a far cry from the game that we saw at BMO Field a couple of weeks ago. I mean, still the same Toronto team by and large, but I mean, you saw the difference not having guys like Marc-Antoine Dequoy in the lineup, Cam Julian Grant, who was actually unfortunately bitten by that injury bug during the warm-up.
Yeah.
You can believe it. Yeah. Cody Fajardo goes down to injury as well. I mean, once your starting quarterback goes down, I mean, that takes the wind out of your sails big time.
Oh, it does. And obviously, we see Cody went down. He went down literally at the end of the first quarter. It looked to be a hamstring of some sort of tightness. We're just waiting to see what the team can say. Actually, it's almost going to be like a total blackout for the next week, anyways, because the Alouettes are on a bye. So we're not going to, know what's happening with a lot of these players. But this game itself, with Cody going out, Caleb Evans coming in, it basically switched from a game plan. Cody Fajardo on the center, Caleb Evans. And as we've seen many a time before, it actually, it really showed.
Yeah. Let's not forget, too, this was a short week for the Alouettes. They played literally right here at First Molson Stadium last Saturday. And now, not even 5 days later, you're back at it. I mean, first of all, that's just ridiculous as far as I'm concerned. But, it is what it is. It's no excuses. I mean, every team goes through injuries. Every team has players go down and, leave the game. And it really does come down. This is where your depth gets tested. And unfortunately tonight, Caleb Evans did okay in spurts, but also, too, made some very questionable decisions. And, I mean, listen, if he's going to be the quarterback going forward for the Montreal Alouettes, Cody's out even long-term, even short-term, maybe he's out. I mean, this team simply put is going to have to develop a proper game plan around Caleb Evans.
It's true, and it's almost, I don't know, didn't we say it shades of what happened last year when Caleb did, the last-minute win in Ottawa, and beyond that, too, that he started well before Cody was out.
Yeah.
It's just like, seems to be a night and day thing for Caleb Evans, and that's what's most frustrating, I think, for Owls fans, Owls supporters, when we've seen how good this machine has been running these first 5 weeks. Then one hiccup that really, a blown tire, so to speak, I guess we could say, and then the offense that we've come to love just gone. It just completely disappeared.
Yeah, and also the defense too. I mean, they literally got run roughshod over. Oh. I mean, Kadeem Carey just could not be stopped today. I mean, what can you do at this point? I mean, they just literally kept ramming the ball down the Alouettes' throat, and there wasn't much they could do to stop Cameron Dukes, Kadeem Carey, and this Toronto offense. I mean, they did the thing. They did what they had to do. They got the win. Credit to them. I mean, as we said, far different game than what we saw a couple weeks ago at BMO Field. Now the series is tied 1-1, so to speak, and the rubber match will be later in the year. I think September 28th, if I'm not mistaken, at BMO Field. So once again, it won't be these same two teams playing that game as well.
No, it won't. And it's funny. The game itself today, it started off what it did with Toronto, very low scoring affair. I mean, who would have thought? I mean, it was a hockey game at the end of one. It was 3-1 for Toronto. So
yeah, the Leafs were beating the Canadiens.
Yes, they were. Yeah. But after that, everything seemed to get going, even with Caleb under center. The problem is, Toronto in the second quarter scored 21 points. Unfortunately, it came down to an interception, pick six rather, for the Argos, which on a throw that really should not have been made. It looked like he was trying to get it to Walter Fletcher, but it was a pass that should not have been thrown.
Yeah, it's just, as I said, questionable decision making, and again, in all fairness to Caleb Evans, he was thrown in cold, but And of course, didn't really have a chance to practice this week. Let's face it. I mean, I think they had one walkthrough.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm pretty sure that 99% of the reps in the walkthrough went to Cody Fajardo. So you can't completely pin this on Caleb Evans, but at the same time, when your number's called, you've got to be ready. And yes, despite the fact Caleb Evans did throw 2 touchdowns, I mean, there's still more drawbacks and benefits, unfortunately, for having him under center.
It's true. And as for always your lights turn out. Again, the run game, Alouettes cannot stop the running game. But the other issue too, though, Cliff, is that, and everybody knows how good this guy is. Aaron ran off on the Owls tonight. He had over, I think it's very close to 300 total yards on punting and on kick returns. Brought the ball again to the Owls. There's another 7 points on the board that the Owls could have potentially held off.
Yeah, special teams. I mean, they took a hit with a lot of those injuries that happened to the national players. Let's not forget, a lot of those guys are special teamers, and not having them out there on the field tonight, you saw the difference. It was not pretty. It was not the best game for Byron Archambault and the special teams unit this evening.
Grant had a grand total of math, 242 yards of return yardage, punting and kickoff, and obviously that one kickoff. 103-yard kickoff return to the house. That really was it there, because second half it was just mulling along. No offense at all for the Alouettes in the second half at all.
Two and out. That was a lot of it. I mean, just a couple nice plays here and there, but I mean, ultimately, yeah, this offense really just couldn't get going.
Now, let's get to some positives here. And there were some. Fajardo, before he went out, he was 5 of 6 for 62 yards. Caleb Evans ended the night at it's so weird seeing these type of numbers. 12 for 22 for 127 yards, 2 touchdowns, but 2 picks. And it's funny, we talked about last week's picks for Cody and Caleb this week. It's a completely different game between these 2 picks and the 2 that Cody had last week.
Yeah. So again, guy was thrown in cold for the most part. So I mean, what are you going to do? I mean, that's simply put. I mean, yes, he's got to be ready to go at a moment's notice. I think any quarterback will say that too. That you've got to be ready to go when your number is called. You've got to go. And I'm really surprised the Alouettes, especially with Caleb struggling, didn't turn to Davis Alexander sooner. Found out why afterwards. He was actually supposed to go in a little bit after the fact, but Toronto unfortunately chewed up 8 minutes of the clock on the fourth quarter. So that kind of ate into Davis's potential playing time. So unfortunately, Davis did get into the game, but it was basically just to take a knee and take the L.
Yeah, exactly. Walter Fletcher led the team with 60 yards on 5 attempts. Sounds good, but he also looked at the Owls at a gorgeous 50-yard rush. But then again, do some subtraction there. And again, just like the first time these 2 teams played, Toronto stood up when it came to the running game. And again, we talked before, that's something the Owls couldn't do, something that Toronto could do.
Today was just not the Alouettes day, folks. And yeah, as we discussed, 300 days since their last loss.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, to the same Toronto Argonauts. Go
right.
figure.
Yeah, I know.
But since then, I mean, since that loss last September, they went on one hell of a run. Does this mean now that the Alouettes will go on another outstanding run? Here's hoping.
Yeah. Let's talk about the receivers. Like I said, we do have some fun to talk about. Cole Speaker, 70 yards led the team on 6 receptions. Touchdowns go to Dalton Rambo, first in the CFL, right? First,
yes, indeed.
First CFL touchdown, 53 yards. Tyson Philpott had a nice touchdown. He had also 38 yards. And we got to talk about the defensive end. It really doesn't show by the scoreboard itself, but we got to at least tip our hat to Samba Johnson once again. He had both sacks for the Alouettes.
Yes, it did. Actually, no. Jeffrey Company Ardu also.
Oh, correct. Yeah, you're right. Yep.
And this kid, I got to tell you, man, like, what a find. I mean, we knew how good he had the potential to be, but to actually step into the role that he has, especially with the injuries that have happened to the linebacking core, he's come in and he's played some outstanding football. So you got to give props to that. He's still a rookie. Let's not forget this, folks. I mean, yes, first round draft pick, but still very much a rookie.
Let me correct you, by the way. They gave it to Denny Verbo.
Oh, okay. I stand corrected. But
either way.
Either way, I stand by what I said. Jeffrey Kante-Arku has been playing some outstanding football, and he also too got dinged up during this game as well. I mean,
There are a lot of guys.
listen, if you had a Canadian passport, you were on the field for the Alouettes, you probably got hurt tonight.
Yeah, and it's. I hate seeing the Alouettes end up being like a match. It can be frustrating. But the guys talking to the guys post game, the few that were here, you know what they said? You know what? It is a loss. That's right. But we have a bye week to get ready, and we're healed up. Come back strong for a very interesting matchup versus the Saskatchewan Roughriders here at First Nelson.
Yeah, right now they're as of today, they are currently now the only undefeated team in the Canadian Football League. We'll see what happens against the BC Lions if they can stay undefeated and bring that streak to Montreal, where hopefully the Alouettes will learn from this loss and maybe just maybe be the ones that hand Saskatchewan their loss in 2024.
Exactly. Also, only just over 18,000 showed up here at First Molson. The rain was a huge factor. It was raining here post game here, and we were wondering if we're going to do the show in the rain here. So
a little drizzle, but not drizzle. We're not made of sugar. We won't melt.
No, but I think that's what helps. A lot of the fans are coming back, but they were still loud and it prompted a little bit, obviously, but they were loud when they needed to be. Unlike last week, doing it on offense. But that's what it is. So, any last words here, Cliff, from First Molson? As I said, the Owls have a bye week this week, so. I know on the next episode we'll be talking about this game a little bit more in detail. But any last things here before we head on tonight?
Well, it's disappointing. There's no question about that, and especially losing at home is always disappointing as well. But let's face it, you cannot win them all, just like Winnipeg couldn't lose them all.
Right.
So I mean, it is what it is, folks. I mean, it's tough, but I think this Alouettes team is built to win. This team is built to compete. They're going to learn from this. They're going to, as you said, hopefully heal up during the bye week. I'm hoping a lot of guys that are on the 6-game list are going to be eligible to come off, start practicing.
I think one is without mistaken.
Right. So I mean, again, if they can get some help along the way as well, and you have to believe Danny Machoch is going to be working the phones as well. Yeah. I definitely see a couple transactions happening as well. So listen, Alouettes Nation, it's tough, but things could always be a lot worse. I mean, this team 5-1 to start 2024. Yeah, that's not bad for your reigning, defending, undisputed Grey Cup champion.
And a third of the way through the season, they're 5-1 with 2 points leading the Eastern. So it is nothing to complain about. But obviously, there are some things that they need to. I think they need to before they do the next game versus Saskatchewan. So again, stay tuned to all of our socials and to the show, our next show. If you haven't missed any of this Flightdeck Live post game show, make sure you head over to all the socials, X, Facebook, and YouTube, so you can watch the entire episode. And also, don't forget, if you haven't been watching on YouTube, make sure you come and make sure you hit your notification bell to find out when we go live. Because we want you to be able to tune in, hear us talk about the game, post game, whether it be here at First Molson or whether it be at another locale, our homes or another stadium.
Yeah, and if you're following on X or Facebook Live, make sure you're following us. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure whatever it is that you're doing, make sure you're a part of this, because, as Tim said, once we go live, you want to be aware of it. You want to be notified of it, and there's still lots more to talk about, folks. I mean, as Tim said, we're 1/3 of the way through the CFL season, and this Montreal Alouettes team, 5-1, looking strong as ever. Little setback tonight, but I think this team's going to get themselves right, come back against Saskatchewan in a couple of weeks, and just keep things going.
Yeah, that's what I think. 1 loss in 300 days. I'll take that.
That's not bad.
I'll take that. So the last time here at First Molson, where the Alouettes lose to the Toronto Argonauts 37-18.